The ultimatum. Grand Admiral Soren Vale of the Galactic Alliance stood motionless before the observation deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion. His four crystalline eyes narrowed as they fixed upon the small blue planet displayed in the holographic projection. Earth, a seemingly insignificant world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star at the edge of the Orion Arm. "Explain to me again," Soren said, his voice like grinding stones, "why these primitives are not trembling before our armada." First, Sentinel Liran moved forward, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. "Admiral, we've transmitted the ultimatum 17 times. Each response has been perplexing." "Show me the latest," Soren commanded. The holographic display shifted, revealing a human female with dark skin and short silver hair. She wore a simple blue uniform with minimal insignia. "This is General Maya Chen of Earth's Unified Defense Force." The recording began. Her expression appeared relaxed, almost amused. "We've received your ultimatum regarding our development of quantum displacement technology. Our answer remains unchanged. No, thank you. We developed this technology independently, without knowledge of your ancient treaties. We are not signatories to your accord, and we will not surrender our scientific advancements. If that's all, we have a potluck dinner scheduled for Friday. You're welcome to join before you commence your—" She made air quotes with her fingers. "Annihilation campaign." Chen out. The command deck fell silent. Soren's exoskeleton flushed a deep purple, the color of confused rage among the Kurvashi species. "A potluck dinner," he finally muttered. "They face the combined might of 27 advanced civilizations, and they invite us to a social gathering." Tactical Officer Dren, a slender Mavari with translucent skin that revealed 3 rhythmically beating hearts, cleared his throat. "Sir, our intelligence suggests this might be psychological warfare. The humans are bluffing." "Bluffing?" Soren questioned. "Pretending confidence they don't possess," Dren clarified. "It's a strategy from their gambling games." Senior anthropologist Tella stepped forward. Unlike most officers aboard the flagship, Tella belonged to a mammalian species somewhat resembling humans, though with distinctive violet skin and 6 fingers on each hand. "Admiral, permission to offer perspective." "Granted," Soren said, waving 2 of his 4 arms impatiently. "Sir, I've spent the last 30 cycles studying human history. Unlike every other sentient species in the Alliance, humans evolved as prey animals that became apex predators through intelligence alone. Their entire evolutionary and social history is written in conflict." Commander Liran scoffed. "That was millennia ago. They haven't engaged in global warfare for over 2 centuries. Precisely my point," Tella continued. "While the Alliance has enjoyed 4,000 years of peace, making war almost a theoretical concept, humans have only recently stopped killing each other. Their entertainment still glorifies combat. Their children play simulations of historical battles. Even their sports are thinly veiled combat rituals." Kavlorin's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting these primitives might actually pose a threat to us? With our phase shields, our graviton cannons, our fleet that can render planets to dust?" "I'm suggesting, Admiral," Tella said carefully, "that while we've forgotten how to wage war, they haven't. And perhaps that's why they're smirking." A heavy silence settled across the command deck. Soren stared at the small blue planet rotating serenely against the blackness of space. "This changes nothing," he finally declared. "The Council has made its decision. Quantum displacement technology destabilizes the very fabric of space-time. No species can be permitted to wield it, especially not one with humanity's violent tendencies. We attack at dawn, Earth time." "Yes, Admiral," the bridge crew responded in unison. "And Tella," Soren added, "double our surveillance. I want to know what those smirking apes are up to." Meanwhile, 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Maya Chen strode through the bustling command center of Earth Defense Nexus Alpha. Holographic displays showed the positions of the alien armada. 20 capital ships, hundreds of support vessels, all taking position just beyond Mars orbit. "So they're really going through with this," said Dr. Amit Patel, barely looking up from his tablet. As the inventor of quantum displacement technology, he seemed remarkably unconcerned about the interstellar war it had provoked. "Did you expect anything else?" Chen asked, accepting a mug of coffee from an aide. The mug read, "World's okayest apocalypse manager," in faded letters. "I expected a more nuanced diplomatic approach from a civilization that claims to be 4,000 years more advanced than ours," Amit replied. Colonel Liu Wei of the Pan-Pacific Defense Force snorted. "They're bureaucrats with big guns. They made a rule book 4 millennia ago and expect everyone to follow it, even species who weren't invited to the party." "To be fair," interjected Dr. Elena Sorokin, head of Sinoanthropology, "quantum displacement does theoretically allow for the creation of localized time anomalies. Their fear isn't entirely irrational." Chen shrugged. "Not our problem that they built their entire interstellar civilization on outdated physics." The room fell silent as the implications hung in the air. Humanity had known about alien civilizations for less than 15 years. First contact had been peaceful, even promising. Trade agreements were established. Cultural exchanges began. Then humanity did what humanity always does, innovated in unexpected directions. "The President is ready for your final assessment, General," said a young aide, breaking the silence. Chen nodded and gestured for her core team to follow her into the adjacent briefing room. On the wall-sized display, the President of the United Earth Confederation waited, her expression grim. "Madam President," Chen began, "the Galactic Alliance fleet has taken final position. Our models predict they'll commence their attack at approximately 600 hours tomorrow." "And our preparations?" the President asked. "Operation Pandora is fully deployed and operational. Quantum masking is holding. They have no idea what's waiting for them. Civilian evacuation is 98% complete, with remaining population moved to hardened shelters. The only ones left above ground are thrill seekers who refused evacuation orders," added Colonel Liu. "Some people will risk death for a good view." The President's expression remained serious. "You're certain this is unavoidable?" "We've tried every diplomatic channel. We've made 17 separate proposals for technology sharing, oversight, limitations on use. They've rejected every offer. The Alliance operates on consensus, and the consensus is that humanity cannot be trusted with advanced technology." The President sighed. "Then we have no choice. You have full authorization to proceed with defensive operations, General. Show restraint where possible, but protect our planet." "Yes, Madam President." After the transmission ended, Dr. Patel looked at Chen curiously. "You didn't tell her about the bet." Chen's lips curved into a small smile. "The gambling pools are on a need-to-know basis, Doctor." "What's the current favorite?" Colonel Liu asked. 8 Alliance ships destroyed before they call for retreat," Chen replied. "I've got 50 credits riding on 6. Dr. Sorokin shook her head in disbelief. "We're facing an armada of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, and you're placing bets." "It keeps morale up," Chen said with a shrug. "Besides, what's more human than finding humor in the face of annihilation?" Dawn broke over the Himalayan mountains with deceptive serenity. Admiral Xorin watched the sunrise from the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, his 4 eyes narrowing at the beauty of it. Strange how a planet could look so peaceful when its dominant species was so confoundingly belligerent. "All ships report ready for combat operations, Admiral," First Sentinel Liran announced, her skin pulsing with anxiety-tinged bioluminescence, and still no sign of defensive preparations from the humans. Xorin asked, though he already knew the answer. "Nothing substantial, sir," Tactical Officer Dren reported. "Their primitive orbital platforms remain in standard configuration. Their aerial defense craft are mobilized but haven't left atmosphere. No energy shields detected. No weapon systems powered beyond routine levels." Anthropologist Tella entered the command deck, looking even more concerned than before. "Admiral, we've detected an unusual pattern in human communications." "What now?" "More celebration. More wagering." Soren's patience was wearing thin. "No, sir. They're broadcasting music globally. The same sequence of musical compositions is playing on every frequency. Our cultural databases identify these as battle hymns and war songs from various periods of human history." Soren's exoskeleton paled slightly. "They're serenading us with war music as we prepare to attack." "Yes, sir, and there's more. They've changed all their betting pools. The new wager isn't about how long they'll survive. It's about how many of our ships they'll destroy before we retreat." First Sentinel Liran made a sound that in her species passed for derisive laughter. "Psychological warfare to the bitter end. Admirable, if futile." But Soren wasn't so certain. Something about this entire scenario felt wrong, like a predator sensing a trap. He stared at the blue planet, seemingly defenseless, yet radiating an incomprehensible confidence. "Commence the attack," he finally ordered, pushing his disquiet aside. "Target their military installations first. Minimal civilian casualties." "Yes, Admiral," the bridge crew responded in unison, but their voices lacked conviction. As the first wave of Alliance fighters began their descent toward Earth's atmosphere, a lieutenant monitoring communications suddenly stiffened. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, addressed to you personally. On screen." Soren commanded. General Chen appeared, seated casually in what appeared to be a comfortable chair, a mug of steaming liquid in her hand. "Admiral Soren," she said, smiling warmly, "I see your fighters are on their way. Before things get messy, I thought I'd give you one last chance to reconsider. We really don't want to harm your people." Soren's exoskeleton flushed purple again. "This psychological warfare will not save you, human. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our fleet." Chen's smile didn't waver. "Who said anything about primitive weapons?" She nodded to someone off-screen, then looked back at Soren, her eyes suddenly cold and hard as steel. 4,000 years is a long time to forget what war really is, Admiral. We haven't had that luxury. War is in our blood, our history, our nightmares. We've spent centuries perfecting it, then centuries trying to avoid it. But we never forgot how." The transmission cut off abruptly. Soren was about to demand it be restored when alarms began blaring across the command deck. "Admiral," Tactical Officer Dren shouted, genuine fear in his voice. "We're detecting multiple quantum signatures throughout the solar system. Thousands of them. They're everywhere." And as the first wave of Alliance fighters entered Earth's upper atmosphere, the humans finally revealed what they had been hiding behind their smirks. The reckoning. Multiple quantum signatures. Impossible. Admiral Soren bellowed, his forearms gesturing wildly. "Their technology is in its infancy." The command deck of the Eternal Dominion erupted into chaos as sensor officers frantically worked their stations. Holographic displays bloomed with thousands of red markers appearing throughout the solar system. "They're everywhere, sir," Tactical Officer Dren reported, his 3 hearts visibly racing beneath his translucent skin. "In orbit around Earth, the Moon, Mars, hidden in the asteroid belt, even among Saturn's rings. They're revealing themselves." "What are they revealing?" Soren demanded. "Quantum displacement platforms, sir. Thousands of them, each generating a localized spatial distortion field." First Sentinel Liran's bioluminescent skin pulsed with alarm. "Our first wave of fighters. They've disappeared." "Not disappeared," Anthropologist Tella corrected grimly. "Displaced. The humans have created a network of spatial traps throughout their entire solar system." On the tactical display, they watched in horror as the first wave of Alliance fighters, over 300 ships, vanished from their attack trajectories. Simultaneously, the same ships reappeared in perfect formation, directly behind the Alliance fleet. "Ingenious," whispered Tella, almost admiringly. They've turned our own momentum against us. Lorin, Accusacillatum. Flushed from purple to ashen gray, the color of fear among his species, status of the displaced fighters. They appear intact, sir, reported Dren, but they've been completely reoriented. Their weapons are now aimed at us. Before Xorin could issue new orders, General Chen's face appeared on the command screen again. Hope you don't mind that we borrowed your fighters, Admiral, she said casually. Don't worry, your pilots are safe. We've merely relocated them temporarily. This is a violation of all conventions of warfare. Soren sputtered. Chen raised an eyebrow. Says the civilization about to bomb a planet that never signed their treaties. Interesting moral stance. She leaned forward, her casual demeanor vanishing. Listen carefully, Admiral. We've spent the past 5 years placing quantum displacement platforms throughout our solar system. Your entire fleet is now surrounded by a 3-dimensional grid of spatial manipulation points, each one calibrated to intercept, redirect, or, if necessary, destructively displace any hostile craft. Destructively displace? Luran asked, her voice barely audible. She means they can teleport portions of our ships into empty space, Telet explained. Or worse, teleport empty space into our ships. Chen smiled thinly. Your anthropologist understands. Clever one, that Tela. You should promote her. Haktorin's 4 eyes blinked in asynchronous confusion. You know her name. We know all your names, Admiral. Just as we know the exact quantum signature of every ship in your fleet. We've been studying you since you entered our system. The difference is, we didn't underestimate you. On the tactical display, the situation grew more alarming. The displaced Alliance fighters were now advancing toward the main fleet, weapons armed. Meanwhile, previously undetected human vessels began emerging from hidden positions throughout the solar system. Sleek, dark ships that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Those aren't conventional vessels, Dren said, his voice trembling. They're generating their own quantum displacement fields. They're mobile displacement platforms. Sir, Liran interjected urgently. The human vessels are deploying smaller craft. They're moving too fast for our targeting systems to track. Anthropologist Tela moved closer to Xorin, speaking softly. Admiral, I strongly recommend we withdraw and reassess. The humans clearly possess technology far beyond our intelligence estimates. This isn't a battle we prepared for. Halloran stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 4,000 years of galactic peace had made the Alliance complacent. They had expected to face primitive missiles, rudimentary energy weapons, perhaps some crude planetary shields. Instead, humanity had weaponized the very technology the Alliance sought to contain. Sir, a sensor officer called out. The human vessels are surrounding our capital ships. They're creating some kind of quantum bubbles around them. On the main view screen, General Chen appeared once more. Behind her stood Dr. Amit Patel, the inventor of the quantum displacement technology. Those bubbles are localized space-time isolation fields. Admiral, Dr. Patel explained. They effectively remove your ships from normal space-time. You can't move, can't fire weapons, can't communicate with each other. Don't worry, life support and artificial gravity remain functional. What do you want? Soren asked, his voice now resigned rather than defiant. The same thing we wanted before you brought your fleet to our doorstep, Chen replied. Dialogue, recognition of our sovereignty, and acknowledgement that technological development cannot be constrained by treaties signed before a species even existed. She paused, her expression softening slightly. We don't want war, Admiral. Humanity has had enough of that in our history. But we will not be subjugated or have our scientific advancement dictated by distant civilizations, no matter how ancient or powerful they believe themselves to be. 12 hours later, in the central conference chamber of the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Xorin sat across from General Chen and her delegation. The terms of the ceasefire had been established, and negotiations for a new relationship between Earth and the Galactic Alliance were underway. "You could have destroyed us," Soren said quietly as his aides and Chen's team discussed technical details at the far end of the table. Chen shook her head. "That was never our intention. We just needed you to understand that humanity won't be bullied, even by well-meaning bureaucrats with big guns. Your quantum displacement technology, it's far more advanced than we believed possible. We've had it for nearly a decade," Chen admitted, "but we kept its full capabilities hidden. We knew how the Alliance would react, given your prohibition treaties. The betting pools, the parties, the relaxed demeanor, it was all a calculated performance." Chen smiled. "Not entirely. The betting pools were real. I lost 50 credits, by the way. We didn't have to destroy any of your ships." Soren's exoskeleton flushed a deep blue, the color of embarrassment among his people. Anthropologist Tella was correct. We'd forgotten what war truly means. 4,000 years of peace made us arrogant. "Peace is worth being arrogant about," Chen said. "That's something humanity learned the hard way. We don't want to disturb your 4 millennia of harmony. We want to join it, but as equals, not subjects." Tactical Officer Dren approached, looking both fascinated and disturbed. "Admiral, the humans have provided technical specifications on their quantum displacement technology. It's not what we thought. It doesn't actually violate causality principles." Dr. Patel, who had been speaking with Dren, joined them. "Your scientists made some incorrect assumptions about quantum mechanics 4,000 years ago," he explained. "Understandable, given the state of physics knowledge at that time. But those assumptions became doctrine, and doctrine became law. And no one questioned it." Soren realized. For 4,000 years, no one questioned the fundamental principles. "That's humanity's gift to the galaxy," Chen said. "We question everything, sometimes to a fault." First Sentinel Liran approached, looking distinctly uncomfortable. "General Chen, our preliminary analysis of your technology suggests it could actually stabilize quantum fields rather than disrupt them. It might have applications for preventing spatial anomalies, not causing them." "That was our original intent," Dr. Patel confirmed. "The weaponization was a reluctant adaptation when we detected your fleet approaching." Soren was silent for a long moment, processing this revelation. Finally, he spoke. "The Alliance Council will need to reconsider many things. 4,000 years of assumptions, 4,000 years of policies based on incomplete understanding. Scientific progress doesn't occur in a vacuum," Chen said. "Sometimes it needs a catalyst, even an uncomfortable one. Like the threat of war," Soren acknowledged. "Or the opportunity for peace," Chen countered. "A different kind of peace than what the Alliance has known. Not peace through stagnation and control, but peace through understanding and adaptation." 3 months later, Admiral Soren stood on the observation deck of the Eternal Dominion, once again looking at Earth, but this time his ship orbited the blue planet as a diplomatic vessel, not a warship. Beside him stood anthropologist Tella, recently promoted to senior cultural advisor. "The integration process is proceeding better than expected," Tella reported. "The humans have shared their quantum displacement technology with our scientists. The applications extend far beyond what we imagined." "And the Alliance Council?" "Still in turmoil," Tella admitted. 4,000 years of certainty, appended in a single day. Some factions are calling for your court-martial for failing to press the attack." "Let them," Soren said calmly. "I would make the same decision again." "The humans have an interesting saying," Tella noted. "The most dangerous animal is not the strongest or the fastest, but the one that can adapt." Below them, Earth rotated serenely. From this distance, one would never guess that its dominant species had nearly triggered the first interstellar war in 4 millennia, or that they had ended it without firing a shot. "We misjudged them," Soren reflected. "We saw their violent history and assumed they would always be defined by it. Yet they learned from it," Tella said. "Perhaps better than we learned from our own history." On the planet below, Construction had begun on the first Galactic Alliance embassy on Earth. Simultaneously, human quantum engineers were helping install displacement technology on Alliance worlds, revolutionizing transportation and communication throughout the galaxy. They invited me to another potluck dinner tomorrow, Soren said, a hint of amusement in his voice. You should go, Tella encouraged. I attended one last week. The concept is fascinating. Each participant brings food from their culture to share. It's symbolic of their approach to the galaxy. Everyone contributes, everyone benefits. And then they place bets on which dish will be most popular. Soren asked wryly. Actually, yes, Tella admitted. The humans have an odd relationship with competition. They turned it into a form of connection rather than division. Soren considered this. 4,000 years of peace had brought the Alliance many gifts, but it had also cost them something precious. The capacity to evolve, to question, to adapt. Humanity, for all its flaws and violent tendencies, had never lost that essential survival trait. Perhaps, Soren said thoughtfully, this was not the end of 4,000 years of peace, but the beginning of something new. A peace built not on stagnation and control, but on innovation and mutual respect. The humans have another saying for that, Tella informed him. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. As Earth's sun began to set over the Pacific Ocean, casting the planet in a golden glow, Soren found himself grateful for the lesson humanity had taught the galaxy, that true strength lies not in weapons or technology, but in the wisdom to know when not to use them. In the end, the humans hadn't needed to fire a single shot to win their war. All they had needed was a confident smirk and the remarkable technology behind it.